very early in my advocacy career, I had the opportunity to ask Gloria Steinem about her position on this issue.
My question to you, who is very much one of my personal heroes, is when will we be ready to listen to sex workers when they tell their story?
Now, this is another situation in which things get wrongly divided into two.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. It's, that it's either legalizing everything or criminalizing everything, and neither is what works. The decriminalization of everything means that the traffickers and the pimps are also decriminalized, and that I don't think is a good idea.
I just want to push back on that because we've seen end demand policies implemented in many, many countries, and we always see violence against sex workers increase. And one of the only countries to decriminalize both the buying and the selling of sex, New Zealand, has seen some of the lowest rates of trafficking, violence, and exploitation, and one of the only places in the world where sex workers are able to cooperate with the police instead of running from them.
I don't know. Having been there and talked to them, I'm not so sure that that's really what's happening. The entire European women's lobby, which is the conscience, you might say, the feminist conscience of the European Union, supports the third way because they have found that that's what works the best.
Gloria Steinem, like a lot of mainstream feminists, presents her support of end demand policies as being a form of partial decriminalization or some kind of third way compromise between the extreme position of criminalizing everyone involved in this work and decriminalization, which is the policy that sex workers have been advocating for literally for decades. But what Gloria Steinem and many people like her do is they frame this as some sort of enlightened, more progressive compromise around directly criminalizing sex work and instead criminalizing literally everyone around us. But this is not some unknowable policy. We implemented end demand laws, the dream law that Gloria Steinem and her ilk and the feminists that she references want in Sweden in 1999. They called it the feminist model. And in Sweden, violence against sex workers went up. STI rates went up. Stigma against sex workers went up. And good mothers lose their kids and their homes just for engaging in this work. There's nothing feminist or progressive about it. New Zealand implemented full decriminalization in 2003, and a part of that law is that they had to study their own policy. So a decade after implementation, the Christchurch School of Medicine, along with a lot of other researchers, looked at the real implication of this law. Not only did STI rates and violence against women drop dramatically, measurably, in like an objective way, but they also did a ton of qualitative interviews with sex workers who reported not only feeling more comfortable reporting crimes committed against them to the police, but also more comfortable advocating for themselves, telling their doctors the truth, using safer sex practices. And all of this is beautifully captured in a book called Taking the Crime Out of Sex Work that was published after the implementation of this law. It not only breaks down how sex workers advocated for decrim, but it goes into detail what the actual impact of that policy has been. Yeah, Gloria Steinem is very dismissive of me, and I don't know what brothel she went to. I don't know who she talked to, but the numbers don't lie. Violence against women has gone down. STI rates have gone down in New Zealand, which implemented full decrim. Not in Sweden, not in Norway, not in Iceland or Canada or Israel or any of the countries that have implemented her dream policy, this so-called third way. Gloria Steinem is part of a long legacy of well-meaning feminists for whom prostitution is unimaginable, where prostitution has become a symbol of violence against women, but something that has torn the movement apart, not just during the porn wars of the 1970s at the height of Ms. Magazine. This stuff goes back to the Seneca Falls Convention of 1840. Feminists have focused more energy and more effort on making sex workers' lives harder, trying to eradicate our livelihood, than on addressing the real issues that women need: access to contraception, the ability to make and keep our own money, property rights, the foundational rights that allow us to get out of abusive situations. Long before there were funded domestic violence shelters, long before committing violence against your wife was even a crime, brothels are where desperate women were able to turn to in desperate moments. At the time that I recorded this video, I hadn't yet had the opportunity to travel to New Zealand, but now I have. And I met incredible luminaries like Dame Catherine Healy and Anna Pickering and all of the people involved in NZPC, which is a sex worker-led community organizing advocacy group that provides healthcare information, direct healthcare and advocacy services to sex workers in New Zealand. I had the opportunity to meet with sex workers that worked before Decrim and are working now. And one of the most striking things about all of the sex workers that I met, and some of them had real complaints about the work, which is like hard and can definitely be gross, but all of them felt comfortable reporting crimes committed against them to the police. All of them felt comfortable standing up for themselves and enforcing their boundaries. In fact, the day that I left New Zealand, a woman in Wellington successfully prosecuted a client for stealthing, for removing a condom without her consent, which is more negotiating power than I had as a co-ed. In New Zealand, sex workers have sued brothel managers for sexual harassment, and they've held clients accountable who rape or violate or don't pay them. None of those options are available if we are unwilling to distinguish between respectful clients paying for an advertised service and criminals.